Welcome to the Employer Branding Show, interviews with employer branding and recruitment practitioners to help you kickstart your own hiring and recruitment efforts. Today, we're joined by Sammy Gebele, who is the founder of SAWOO, a full-service B2B podcast agency and B2B active sourcing and employer branding SaaS company. They help clients drive recruiting, sales, and thought leadership via LinkedIn. Sammy, great to have you on the show today.
Pleasure to be with you today, James.
Awesome. So Sammy, for those of us who don't know who you are and a little bit about your history, who are you and what do you do?
So me personally, I'm half German, half Bavarian, so to say, and half Tunisian, North Africa. And also married. My wife is Tunisian, living here now. And I personally like to do lots of sports and like to cook. So I love to swim, bike, and run in this order, so triathlon, and I love to go to local markets, find some nice groceries and fish, and then cook something nice for friends and family. My first work life, I was a management consultant. And then through several entrepreneurial endeavors, we ended up founding SAWOO, which was originally basically a full service agency to help clients to help B2B companies win clients. But then we noticed that a bigger pain right now, at least for one of the core areas where we focus on, which is professional service companies, they right now, at least in Germany, don't have the very big problem of finding new clients. They have the problem of finding employees because they cannot fulfill the projects without employees. We also helped our clients fulfill this with a full service, so to say, everything focused on LinkedIn. And then we wanted to be more efficient for ourselves. So because it was really hard to manage everything, it became really complex to use Google Sheets, something like Excel. And so we built our own SaaS solution, so software as a service solution for ourselves internally first. Then some of our clients said, hey, could we just get your SaaS solution? We can maybe use our own resources to leverage it. And this is how, we became a SaaS company. So it was a little bit of a journey. It was not planned, but this is where we are right now.
That's fascinating. So you were helping companies with their sales and lead generation, and you were talking to people and you were listening to the problems that they were having. And more, rather than, hey, we need to win more clients, it's actually, we're already winning the clients, but we need the people that can deliver on those products. Can you help us with that? Did that happen at a few different companies, or is it one company that sticks in your mind?
It was like almost all of our professional service companies started to have this problem after the pandemic. Like during the pandemic, most of them stopped hiring because they thought the world will end. Yeah, the world didn't end, and then they didn't have enough people. And then the whole market is shifting. That many people don't want to work in professional service companies, from marketing agencies up to management consultancies, and the market is empty. So it's really hard to find them. And if the market is empty, you have to start poaching people from other companies. There's no other way to do it. If you don't just recruit from universities, but you need experienced people, where else should you get them from? And this is where this whole journey started for us. Yeah,
that's incredible. So since lockdown, since pandemic, people struggling to get people. Nobody wants to work for professional services companies, you say. So there's a whole kind of branding problem with the sector, it sounds like.
Yeah, I would say also it's an identity crisis of especially consulting companies, because the younger generations started to look more on the I don't need to earn as the maximum amount of money. I also want to have a life besides work. But if you look at the working hours of marketing agencies or consultancies, be it like IT consultancies or management consultancies, you don't have a 38-hour work week. And sometimes it's required that you're traveling. So it's not that compatible with the lifestyle that many people seek right now. And the ones who are willing to work there, it's a rare breed almost, you can say. So that's why I think it's becoming harder and harder. And as the whole area is growing, so these companies are growing tremendously fast, at least in Germany or the German markets, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland. The market is getting bigger in terms of demand, but the supply is not growing as fast as the demand. And this is like, yeah, a tough environment that I think will keep on getting more and more problematic for companies. And so we don't only help basically with consultancies and marketing agencies. We have the first SaaS companies also now that we help on the one hand on the IT recruiting side, on the other hand on the salespeople side, because also salespeople are rare breed now apparently in the German-speaking countries. So I think this will become more and more a problem because yeah, the market is growing, but supply is not growing as fast.
So what's the impact on those companies when they can't recruit?
They can't grow. Very simple. I mean, if you can't staff a project, or if you can't like win new salespeople, or if you can't win enough developers, it has a big impact on growth, and that is bad. Yeah, negative impact, so to say.
Mm. Is there going to be a tipping point? Is there something has to change there? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is like a whole almost philosophical debate. Because I was a management consultant for a couple of years before I stopped working there, and so I know how these old school consultancy leaders are thinking. They think I work like 80 to 100 hours a week, and I worked over the weekend. So why shouldn't my young people do the same? But there's a rare breed of younger founders, and they think differently. And these are the ones who win employees really fast. So I think you have to rethink on what work looks like in these areas where it's hard to find people. And it's going even so far that I recently talked to a founder of a consultancy. They are 10 years old now, and they grew like 50%, I think, over the last year. So really fast, over 100 employees now. And he says it's harder to find people than basically win projects. So they even ask their employees now if those employees are happy with the client. And if they're not happy with the client, they are firing the client. So it's totally switching from we need clients and everything is like for the client and nothing else matters, to everything is important around the employee. The employee experience, the employee must be happy. And this is our number one priority, which I think generally is a good thing. Yeah,
100%. Like that's such a great message as well to tell to future employees, isn't it? You know, if you're working with a client that you're not happy with, we've empowered people to get rid of them in the past. You know, you're our priority. That's fantastic. So how do you approach this problem? How does SAWOO help overcome this issue of businesses, so SaaS companies, management consultancies that are desperate to grow, desperate for talent? How does SAWOO step in and help facilitate that journey?
So we are focused on the active sourcing part. I mean, there are several things you can do, and you should do all these pillars. So you should like create ads and publish them in all the places possible. You should do the fairs and whatnot. So we are not the magic bullet that helps you and you can stop everything else. It's just one additional thing you can do, and it's around active sourcing. So basically poaching your employees from other companies, and we leverage two things. One thing is, instead of letting your HR people reach out to those employees by using LinkedIn, and usually HR people use the LinkedIn recruiter versions where you're sending in-mails. Yeah, and I think everybody has received a couple of in-mails, almost daily I receive those. Switching to not leveraging HR, but leveraging the future boss of the employee. And so that is the one magic trick. You're leveraging your future boss. And if your future boss reaches out to you, the likelihood that you are reacting is much, much higher than if someone in HR or even outside of your company, a recruiter, is reaching out. And the second magic thing is combine that with, instead of using InMaze and the LinkedIn Recruiter version, you use the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's a sales version basically of everything. And you're sending connection requests, which feels much more natural. And so it doesn't feel that salesy. And we have comparisons where our clients usually, of course, they try it themselves. So one SaaS company was trying to recruit sales development reps, so sales people. And they reached out to 200 people and with InMaze and almost no reply and no interview. And then we came in and we helped them with our software solution in a sense that the head of sales was reaching out to those potential employees, sending a connection request, very simple, saying, hey guys, or hey, for example, James, I think you could be a good fit to my team. We are right now hiring, would love to connect. That's it. That is the connection request. When they accept, and not everybody is accepting with a message, you just send 1 or 2 follow-up messages. So not spamming them, saying, hey, I thought you could be a good fit. Would you be up for a short get-to-know call? 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's it. And this led to like the acceptance rate of these connection requests was in 68%, which is crazy high. Yeah. And out of 160 accepted connection requests, he had like 20 calls, and they hired 3 people within 45 days. So it's compared to you have no success, going to in 45 days, having these 2 people that you desperately need, that's amazing.
That's huge. And 3 people, you're talking about a saving of maybe 30, 40,000 pounds worth compared with an agency spend.
Oh yeah,
easily.
Easily. Compared to that, we have to be much more expensive now that you say it out loud.
Well, it's if you can get all the pieces working together, it's an incredible cost saving versus that model.
Yeah.
So how does that work then? Because it's interesting. The more I'm doing this show, the more I'm talking to different people from different countries. It's interesting how different people have slightly different terminologies for particular role types. So you spoke about HR. In the UK, it's predominantly, like, although HR may be involved in recruitment, it is traditionally recruiters or talent acquisition partners, which is that they're now described as, who are doing the sourcing and then the outreach to candidate pools. You're talking about enabling hiring managers to do it, which I have had experience of in the past, and it is much more successful. Your numbers are fantastic to hear. How are you? Who's facilitating HR and the hiring manager? Is HR showing the hiring manager how to do it, or are you doing it? What's that kind of connection?
Mm-hmm. So I guide you through the process. It all starts with identifying the right people. Yeah.
Okay.
So usually, and this is a collaboration between HR, or I always say HR, but for me, the recruiting team is within the HR department. So of course, it's going to be the recruiting team, the expert on this field, helping you. They help you identify the right people on LinkedIn. Usually it's a pre-selection is going to be made by the recruiting team. And then the hiring manager has the final say, and I think this person is maybe not a fit, so they deselect some people, which is not too bad because the hiring manager will have to work with that person. So they look like really, really carefully for the people that they would like to work with. So this is all happening in the Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. But then you have to start reaching out to those people. And if you want to be LinkedIn compliant, you're not using a bot, like a machine basically doing everything automatically, because people will see it and feel it, and it's not going to be that successful. And you're going to risk your whole LinkedIn profile that like you can get banned from LinkedIn, yeah, which is horrible if that would happen. So basically what we developed to help you facilitate this is we created a workflow software. You can then upload those people who you pre-selected into our workflow software. And now the hiring manager doesn't have to do the manual stuff. You can leverage an assistant either in your company or outside of your company, like a person, an assistant, doing the manual copy paste of messages, clicking, sending. If someone replies, basically put that information back into our system. And the hiring manager only gets involved when a person replies in a meaningful way, either asking a question where you have to have the subject matter expert replying, so the hiring manager in this case, or wanting to have a chat with you. Often they even send the phone number and say, yeah, of course, give me a call. So it's that's a point where the assistant basically gives the task within our system to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager looks at his to-do list each day and just like clicks through the to-dos and calls these people or schedules a meeting. So it's no rocket science, it's no crazy AI or whatnot. It's a very straightforward workflow solution that enables you to work together with HR, an assistant, and the hiring manager, but taking away most of the manual tasks, because usually hiring managers don't have the time to do that. And they are too expensive, to be honest, to do that.
Yeah, their time is spent better time in their teams. What do you use to help create the messages? Because I feel like they must be they're still a really important part of the whole process.
So we always say this is roughly our best practice. We don't give them templates, because I think templates are horrible, then everybody sounds the same. Yeah. So we say you should send a short message for the connection request. You don't even have to say that you're actively hiring. You always start, and that's something I forgot, you give some tips on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile before you start this whole process, so that everybody sees who you are, what you are hiring for. And it's they already have the sense that, okay, this person is very likely reaching out because they want to like potentially hire me. Yeah. So you do that first, then you do a short connection request, and after that you do a short ask for, hey, I think you're a good fit. Would you be up for a short conversation? How that's written, I would always give this task to the hiring manager, because it should be the way they are communicating naturally. And everybody has a different style, so it should be a person still connecting to a person. And that's where I think it shouldn't be like overly crafted. It can be natural. It can be even how some people write how they speak. So some people even put in mistakes, and they say, okay, keep it. Yeah. If you're typing to one person and type something and you send a message, sometimes you have little mistakes. It's not a biggie, not a problem. It feels more natural.
Yeah, that authenticity of communication is like, you don't want to make it really super polished, and then when you turn up on your day one of your employment, it's the interaction is different. You want it to make it feel the same. And is there anything that, I talk to a lot of businesses about creating content to kind of augment that process that you're talking about there. Do you do any work there about helping them create content outside of that outreach workflow?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, I started the whole LinkedIn content journey for myself, and I wanted to learn how it works. So I interviewed a couple of people. We have our own, we have 2 podcasts where I'm the host. So for our Grow B2B Faster podcast, I interviewed 3 people who are really successful on LinkedIn. Justin Welsh and Scott Lees and Ira Sharp are 3 people that I interviewed, and I try to distill how they became so successful. And when I talk about successful, for example, Justin Welsh, he has like thousands of likes and hundreds of comments on each post he's doing, like more than any company that I've seen.
Even better than our posts do, Jimmy.
We are far away from that, yeah. But where the magic is basically, or the magic that we distilled is, they make it easy to create content by using templates. Yeah, templates in the sense that there's a certain way on how to formulate a post that you write on LinkedIn. So this is one thing that we basically use, and we enable you to leverage template on our platform. You select the topic. Yeah, it could be around, it should be employer branding job related. So you're more writing about a job post, but there are really funny ways to write something like this, or really interesting ways to write it. So, and how to style the writing. So you see a couple of templates, you usually know what you want to write, but if you also see it in combination with a template that is close to what you want to say, it is so much faster and easier to create a content piece. So that is the one thing. And then also with, it's not templates, but it's best practices. So we show some best practices on how to create like a selfie video. Just take a 30 seconds to 60 seconds selfie video saying, hey, I'm James, I'm hiring for my team, we're doing this and this, and I'm looking for that and that, and then post it. And that works wonders.
I think there's so much that can be made out of that kind of raw content, you know, unedited, unfiltered, 30 seconds. Okay, you're hiring. Oh, yes, I'm hiring for this. And whatever comes top of mind, you know, that's the reality. That's what the person's thinking about. That's what the person's hiring about. That sounds great. And
yeah,
you're working with SaaS companies and professional services.
Yeah, right now that is our focus. I mean, the principle can be applied to any kind of business that needs to hire for roles where it's harder to hire right now. So where you have to start the active sourcing part. Yeah. But I mean, as a small company, you have to focus on the target market with the biggest needs, and that's at least what we identified.
Okay. So as I said, I think I said this to you before we started recording, with the employer branding show, I'm trying to show people in talent acquisition how they can do, like in-house talent acquisition, how they can do better employer branding. They've been given employer branding to do, like, go and do it. I think there's a few little pearls there that you've highlighted. There's the 30-second hiring manager video, which sounds great. There's the kind of templates of you getting hiring managers to post online, and then there's using the hiring managers to do outreach to their audience. Which of those do you think is the most important?
The magic bullet is that your future boss reaches out to you, to be honest. That is the difference. It's not, honestly, it's not even that important what you're writing. I mean, you shouldn't write something too long because people are not used nowadays anymore to spend a lot of time. But if your future boss reaches out to you, you always think that's an interesting connection. At least I connect. And that's when you already have won. And people are interested in seeing what other opportunities are out there. So they're willing to have this 10-minute conversation. And they might personally even think, well, I'm not really willing to change, but if you have a cool hiring manager and they should be themselves, okay, don't fake it. But they think, that's a person I want to learn from in the future. And that's where you're winning. So I think, to be honest, I see the role of talent acquisition shifting from being someone who's doing the process themselves, so being like a process owner and executing, towards more the strategic role of helping hiring managers create a good LinkedIn profile, helping them find the right target audience, and looking at the data and helping those hiring managers where the KPIs are not good enough. They don't have a high connection acceptance rate, they don't get the calls, or they don't convert from calls to people want to apply. So I think it's a much more interesting job in the future, but it's a hard switch from I'm right now owning everything to I'm the enabler.
It's a really interesting switch, and it's where I, like, personally, where I would probably go into a company and operate if I was to do that again. I wouldn't want to do each individual hiring process. It's using the hiring managers and showing them how to do the recruitment. It is flipping it on its head a little bit, because often it's hiring managers saying to recruiters, hey, where are my candidates? You're actually whipping it around and getting recruiters to ask the hiring managers where the candidates are.
Exactly. And you know, the funny thing is, I hear it time and time again that people in companies like hiring managers, they don't get the support because HR or talent recruiting is usually understaffed, and they focus on the most important 1, 2, 3 roles, and they cannot help everyone that has open roles. So you might say that hiring managers don't want to do that. Maybe not everyone, but those who have big pain, they are willing to invest a little bit of time and to do that.
Yeah, totally. That's really interesting. And it's interesting you saying about how talent teams don't have enough teams. Recruitment struggles to recruit recruiters. But it's a whole niche of probably another conversation. That's really fantastic. Thanks for that. I've got some other quick fire questions for you.
I got one thing just to show that this is not something that is like crazy Sammy thinking that he can change the world. This is something that's happening right now out there. Do you know HubSpot, the company?
Yeah.
So it's a big American company, very fast growing. And I talked to the head of EMEA marketing, and the woman was really open about how they are recruiting. And they said, Sammy, what you're saying, we are already doing that. We have to hire a certain percentage as a hiring manager. And in EMEA, 40% of people that are recruited through the hiring managers at HubSpot. So this is not something, and you have to wake up if you're not doing that. So just think about it. You and a competitor hunting for the same people. Yeah, who will win more?
The people that's being outreached by a hiring manager, or the people that's getting knocked on the door by a recruiter? Yeah, totally. And even better than hiring manager, a founder?
So the general rule of thumb is you should leverage the hiring manager that recruits for his own team. So if the founder is recruiting VPs of sales, of marketing, whatever, so someone who's directly reporting to the founder, absolutely, yeah. And at smaller companies, you're probably recruiting for almost every role, so go for it and use your own profile. That's super powerful. Later on, for example, we have a big consulting company, Alvarez & Marsal, as a customer. And the managing director is reaching out to the managers, but a manager is reaching out to the consultant. So it's always like the direct relation, because they are also closer to how those people speak. They're closer generation-wise. So the managing director, he doesn't even know how those young people right now tick, what you should talk to them about and whatnot, and he maybe is too far away from projects to tell them how it is to be a consultant in a project. Yeah, so it's a very simple rule of thumb. The hiring manager should recruit for his own team. Full stop.
That's great advice. I think there's some great pearls there. I look forward to going through this and trying to grab those pearls out of here, Sammy. Thank you for that. I've got some really quick fire questions for you now, just to finish off with. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this because I think this might be your own tech stack. But I was just wondering, what's the tech stack that you use to build out your employer branding for your clients?
So we eat our own dog food, of course. Yeah. So we leverage LinkedIn.
I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before.
Yeah, it's like the whole startup mentality of if you're not doing it and you're not testing what you build yourself, I mean, you shouldn't sell it.
Sure.
And it's honestly not easy to get everyone on board in my own company, and it's really interesting. Yeah. So what we do for employer branding, I ask my own employees to take part in this whole journey of creating, first knowing who your target audience is, then thinking about the topic that you want to own, and then starting to basically use our own templates to post daily around this topic. And we see success. Yeah, so it's working. And it sounds counterintuitive because, for example, we have a copywriter, and that's of course writing about copywriting because that's what she loves, and that's her job. But it helps us because if we want to hire copywriters in the future, she has a following and she already recruited someone for us. Yeah. So it's working. Yeah. And it's fun.
You're creating kind of mini mini personal brands, mini
Yeah.
influencers. That
Exactly.
when the time comes for you to recruit, they just need to put their hand up because they've already built an audience.
Exactly. And you know, people think you have to have these thousands of likes and hundreds of comments to be an influencer. It's not true. She gets maybe 20 likes sometimes, maybe 1 to 3 comments, but people see it, and that's enough, and it works. Yeah.
It's incredible the amount of people that don't comment, don't like, but when you see, well, like when I meet up with them, for example, they talk about my content. I think, well, you never interact with it. I never see that you're liking it. It's, oh no, they're lurkers on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Oh, and I have one tip, because I see it again and again, people saying you shouldn't post something private or personal on LinkedIn. But I see that this really works awesomely well for myself. So I, once a week, on my content plan, I have a personal post where I upload a picture of something I did this week, and I write something about why I did it or what I loved about it and whatnot. And whenever I talk to a potential client or an existing client or a potential employee, they saw something I posted and they say, hey, I'm also doing triathlon, or I was at the Victualenmarkt yesterday and also drank a coffee there or whatnot. You know, it's really, yeah, I would also always incorporate something personal.
Yeah, I think that's a really good. I saw your post on LinkedIn today about that, and I think it's a really good way of showing the personality, being authentic to who you are, rather than kind of hiding behind a fake kind of profile. Yeah, it's a good way of building an audience. Definitely. Are there any other tools that you use?
Honestly, for recruiting, yeah, of course we do the basics as well. So we're not only relying on active sourcing. We are using a platform called Join, so join.com. And you can basically, because we are a remote first company, we don't even have an office. Whenever we hire, we post job offers in all the major cities and areas, like in 40 cities, for example, in Germany. And we get really good inbound there as well. So this is something that we are using as well.
Okay, that's good. I'll have a look at that. I haven't heard of that before. So is that you put up a post, but it posts it locally?
Yeah, it's basically like the monsters or stepstones or whatnot, where you could go there and create one job posting, but with this Join, you can create one job post and publish it on all these different platforms, and you can basically geo target areas. Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so lots of people that listen to this, I imagine, are going to be up and comers, new recruiters, or new people to employer branding. What is your most recommended book to someone like that who's interested in recruitment or interested in employer branding?
So I have one book, and that one of my advisors told me about, and this changed the whole way of how we recruit. It's more about recruiting, like what is a good recruiting process to really get this fit between the person you want to hire and your own company. And the book is called Who, the A Method of Hiring by Geoffrey Smart. So this is something that changed my perspective on hiring totally.
This is one that I have not heard of. I've got a stack of employer branding and recruitment books here, just in case anybody mentions one that I know, but I haven't heard of that one. Why? How has that influenced you? So
the magic bullet that he basically puts into this whole recruiting process is that you do reference interviews. So when you interview someone, you have 3 interviews. The second interview is basically where I come in, and it's a very structured interview. You go through the whole CV from the furthest away to today, and you always ask the same questions. So you ask, what did you do, and what did you achieve, and one of the most important questions is, how would your former boss rate you on a scale from 0 to 10, and why?
Yeah.
And who is it? Like, you write down how do you spell that name, yeah, and And after this whole interview, you say, hey, and please, can you get me in touch with, and you pick at least 3. I want to have a reference interview, 15 minutes. And then you see on the one hand, if people were lying, so they can say, oh, my boss was super happy with me, it's a 10, and then you know, I mean, they never say something bad, but you see it when you have a Zoom call, and I mean, if it's something below an 8, it's bad. Yeah, it's not good. And they also say what the weaknesses are, but it's good because nobody's perfect. And so I always tell them, and it's an honest statement, that I also need to know what should I be aware of when we hire that person, because we want to make them successful. Not everybody's perfect. What is the weakness? What should we take care of? And we didn't have a mishire up to now. It's not 100%, of course, but it helped us sort out some people where I thought, wow, that person sounds like really good. And then doing these reference checks, we noticed that, that is not exactly matching to what I heard. So this is the whole reason why I really love it. And you don't have to buy the book. You can just Google on YouTube. There's a 2-hour, 1.5 or 2-hour talk that he has in front of, I think, other recruiters and company owners. And it's basically also with some Q&As and really hands-on examples. And I think if you don't want to invest into reading a book or buying the book, just look out for this YouTube video.
Wonderful. We'll put some links in the show links.
I will send it to you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks, Sammy. And final question for you, Sammy. Who's an up and comer in recruitment or employer branding? Someone that you think we should be keeping an eye on?
So it's a potential client of ours, but I really like the way that she's thinking about trying out new things. And I think if you only stick to the safe bets and you never have 10 or 20% of trying out new things, you cannot evolve. And it's Jen, Jen, Jen Kush from NG, ENGIE. In the United States, she's situated. She's a recruiter there for that company. And if you could, honestly, if I were you, I would invite her on the show and just get someone from the industry. It's a bigger company, but she's not thinking like a big corporate recruiter. She is really hands-on and trying out new things.
Fantastic. When you say new things, what do you mean?
Something like our solution, for example. No, I mean, it's not something that you would think about, and it challenges a little bit if you think about it. If someone wants to implement it, you suddenly have to do a process that you did all your life in a certain way, totally different with different people. So it's really challenging, and some people say, "Oh, well, that's even more work for me." So even though the results could be better, I don't want to do more work. Yeah. And so
it's a great way of looking at things. You know, the way that we've always done things shouldn't necessarily be the way that things continue to be forever. And I think in recruitment, we're in a really interesting post-pandemic kind of new age paradigm of what recruitment looks like, what work looks like, why people join particular companies. I think it's a really interesting time. And I've been really fascinated, Sammy, about how you approach recruitment and how you evangelize about getting hiring managers more involved. I'd like to talk to you again, maybe about that process of getting hiring managers more involved, because I know you say those people with the biggest pain are going to want to jump on board and support, but I bet there's still so many hiring managers that are just really tough to get involved in this process and get them working, which I'm guessing the big challenge, the big kind of change management process that a lot of companies will have to go through. And maybe it's a generational thing. Who knows what we see in the future? But maybe that's a date for another conversation.
And I have a little goodie for anyone who's interested in those templates. If they want, they can just reach out to me via email or LinkedIn, and I can send them the Excel file with a couple of templates that we leverage ourselves, so they can use it for free.
That's fantastic. That was going to be my last question, Sammy. What's the best way of people getting in contact with you?
Honestly, LinkedIn is the easiest way. Just send me a connection request, refer to the show, say that you would like to have the templates, and I will send them to you.
Awesome. Okay, Sammy, well, we'll do that. We'll also put some links when this will go on YouTube and everywhere else where podcasts normally go, and we'll put some links there so people can find your profile and reach out to you. Sammy, thanks so much for being a guest on the Employer Branding Show.
Pleasure was all mine. Thanks a lot.